Hello and welcome to Finextra. I'm Emily Haller and I'm here with Rob Hetherington of SAP and Jerry Silva of IDC. And we're talking about the IDC study into digital transformation in banking. Thank you both for joining me.
Thank you.
One of the key takeaways from the survey is that banks need to assess the impact on their business models of digital transformation. How should they do this and how should they interact with the wider ecosystem?
Yeah, European banks are going to see major impacts to their business model, Emily, as a result of digitization. And the key, I think, is that to ensure that customers are at the center of all core processes, be they front office, middle office, or back office. The quality of customer experience, the speed and consistency of execution of customer requirements and customer transactions is absolutely paramount. So that's what we believe. Now, when it comes to the ecosystem, we believe that banks should embrace and not reject the ecosystem that is around them. And the ecosystem is much wider than traditional banking partners. So again, we see a major role for both, sort of other financial services providers as well as non-banks when it comes to designing and delivering holistic customer propositions. And in essence, banks should embed banking services into these customer propositions. When it comes to technology and fintechs, again, our view is that banks should regard fintech providers as more than just competitors, but as potential collaborators, source of innovation, and again, embrace them, work with them, collaborate with them to bring new propositions to market.
And Jerry, line of business-led innovation seems to be a common way for banks to progress in digital transformation. What does the survey tell us about the upsides and the downsides of this approach?
So as Rob was mentioning, customer experience and customer centricity has been really one of the biggest drivers of digital transformation for banking. And for good reason. You want to improve the customer experience. And we've seen from the survey that about 45% of digital transformation initiatives are actually on the front office. So they're direct customer facing, and that's regardless of retail customers versus corporate customers, SMEs. So that's the good thing. The customers are going to start seeing more, better experiences, more innovation in those channels. The downside, or the potential downside, is only 23% of digital transformation initiatives are focused on the back office or tied into the enterprise strategy as a whole. And that can cause some issues. In fact, the top 3 challenges we found from the survey dealt with things like having open and agile technologies, being able to do real-time decisioning, having advanced analytics capabilities. And so unless the banks address those parts, there may be an issue down the road. The good news is that we see a sprinkling of banks throughout Europe, Middle East, and Africa that are actually starting to tie that enterprise-wide strategy to the back office and fixing the infrastructure as well as the front office.
One of the approaches made possible by digital transformation is the provision of truly personalised banking services. What elements need to be in place for banks to deliver on this vision? Yeah,
so a personalised banking service means something that is contextualised for you, that addresses your unique requirements and needs. And Jerry's touched on a couple of things which are important. The first is data. So banks need to be able to harness large amounts of both structured data, i.e. data that they've collected themselves, as well as unstructured data from sources like social media, etc., so that they develop this all-round view of you so that they can understand your needs and requirements in greater detail. They can only do this if they leverage analytics, so this is the second important feature. So analytics which allow banks to understand the data, the patterns, the trends and so forth, and understand you within that, absolutely key. And increasingly we see that those analytics need to be both real-time, drawing on real-time data so that you can be served and satisfied on an as-needs basis, so-called moment of truth, if you like, but also predictive. So we're seeing some banks now starting to make use of analytics to, in effect, determine what you need, sometimes in advance of you knowing that you need the service or product yourself. And then the third thing is the obvious one, which is banks need a set of products and services which are tuned to the needs of customers and can be personalised easy. So those are the 3 features.
And based on the survey, what are your key recommendations for banks and their key suppliers as they take the next steps on the digital transformation journey?
So the things that Rob and I have been talking about sound easy to do, and they're not. They're incredibly difficult. And I guess I'm going to have to follow up with my own rule of 3s, with Rob's permission here. What we found through the survey is that the first key or critical component of digital transformation is to start at the executive suite. So you have to have the buy-in from the CEO, buy-in from the board members, because they're really going to be driving the cultural change it takes to create a more collaborative environment within the institution to get these things done. Secondly, from the survey directly, we found that the earlier IT groups get involved in these projects. So if they get involved right from the start on any of these digital transformation initiatives, the more success you get. And there's a direct correlation between the time where IT gets involved and the ultimate success of those projects. And then the third key element is going to be around recognizing your own strengths and abilities within the institution and recognizing what you should send outside or partner with another company. One of the interesting things we found through the survey is that banks throughout Europe, the Middle East, and Africa tend to be more willing to partner with fintechs, for example, these technology startups, than any other region in the world. One of the more interesting things that came out of the survey. So that's going to give them a benefit in terms of being able to deploy faster and not having to rely on internal resources to get things done.
Jerry, Rob, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching.